holidays are a stressful time, but they do not have to be. Melissa Bernstein, co-founder of Melissa and Doug's Toys, co-founder of Lifelines, has introduced sensory immersion tools for adults. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
Sensory immersion, tell us a little bit about what that means.
Sure. Sensory immersion came out of my own journey to try to untether from my ruminating thoughts and activate a state of calm and joy through immersing my senses in delightful stimuli.
Because especially during the holiday time, we kind of reach those breaking points, especially, parents. I mean, we could talk a little bit about that a little bit later on, but just anybody going through work deadlines, end of the year quotas. I mean, there's a lot of times where stress is just amped up, especially these last 2 months of the year.
It's so true. I think it's one of the most stressful times of year. And if we know that ahead of time, we can really sort of develop a toolbox of tools to help us to ground ourselves when we start to feel ourselves becoming untethered.
You've talked about your mental health. You've talked a little bit about some of the tools that you've used. Tell us a little bit about, what you have as far as sensory immersion and, people just taking care of their mental health, especially being aware of some of those triggers, not just during the holidays, but all year round.
Exactly. Although we talk about sensory immersion and we've created tools in the senses, our first one is the sense of smell. The truth is that a product alone is not going to ease your stress, right? For me, it really was a much deeper dive into accepting the fact that all humans have stress and it's part of the stress response, which started back when we were mammals, and really developing a practice so that I can have tools to turn to when I start to feel stressed. So these products are all in the grounding part of my personal practice, which means anytime I start to feel myself rising out of I call it my baseline, off my baseline, I can pull out one of these tools and really use it to come back down to homeostasis.
Let's talk about some of the tools that you have.
Sure. So one of my favorites I'm holding right now, and I actually don't go anywhere without it, especially when I'm on interviews like this. It's a grounding stone. And it's actually, I created it for myself because I never know what to do with my hands when I'm feeling stressed. So this fits perfectly into the palm of my hand. It has two senses in it. It has the sense of touch. So it has a really fun touch component in the top of it. So again, I associate that with calm. And then inside it has the capacity to house an essential oil. And my favorite blend of the moment is Citrus Grove Joy. And I just give my really special bottle. This is our own patent pending design. I squirt it into the center. And then I'm walking around my day with the sense of smell and the sense of touch right in the palm of my hand.
As far as like parents that you've talked to, with creating the Melissa and Doug products, because oftentimes you see kids having so much joy or kids stress relief because they're playing with their favorite item at home or they bring it on a road trip with them. But maybe seeing that need in parents as well too.
Yes, exactly. That same stress response continues as we're adults. And I think what happens is as we start to feel the burdens and responsibilities of life, our innate stress relievers and our superpowers, which are our senses, if you look at kids, right, they're constantly unleashing their senses. Our senses become sort of submerged under a whole bunch of burden and obligation and responsibility. And Lifelines is about allowing adults to rediscover the power of what's already innate in them, right? They already have these senses. It's just about sparking them to be the conduit to calm and joy.
And that's such a wonderful bridge to talking about mental health and to be talking about taking care of ourselves. Because oftentimes parents, you're a boss, whoever, you're a spouse, you're taking care of everybody else and you don't take care of yourself and you don't realize those things that you need to help ground you.
That is so true. And I am a victim of that. I was so extrinsically focused on serving everyone but myself that I ended with an empty well. And it was a crisis moment where I had nothing left to give because I hadn't ever given to myself. So part of my journey, Lifeline started with my own personal journey of self-discovery, literally, and realizing that I need to care about myself and ultimately actually love myself in order to truly, authentically love others as well.
A lot of Melissa and Doug toys are going to be under the tree, or depending on the holiday that you celebrate, people are going to be having those in their homes and on their holiday wish list. But let's talk a little bit about having these toys, incorporate them into kids' play, because obviously a lot of parents, it's a big struggle to get them off screens and to help fuel their imagination and do a little bit of playtime. But what these toys mean to so many families, especially on all the age groups that they offer.
Well, it's funny because, right, for 35 years, I made toys for children through Melissa and Doug, but these are actually for older people. They're for, older kids, maybe 14 and up, and adults. So now it's so amazing that we fill the whole bracket of ages, right? From the children in Melissa and Doug to the young adults and adults through Lifelines. And really, it's the same sort of concept, right? You're sparking your senses through play in children and through sensory immersion in adults. So it's taking very much that same idea and just articulating it a bit differently through adults now.
Because I look at myself, whether you have a clean home, or you've gone through all your whole email box, or you do something to take care of yourself. And once you've kind of set that for yourself, you realize, like you mentioned before, your baseline, like you're like, okay, I feel off because this isn't clean, or this isn't, dealt with. Talk a little bit about how maybe you've changed your perception and how your life has changed once you've created these products, knowing that, like, okay, I feel like I'm off my baseline. Here's where I know where I feel more centered.
That is such a good question. And it all starts with self-awareness. And I think so many of us are racing extrinsically outside ourselves that we really have no idea who we are and what we're experiencing. We tend to just suppress everything. So the first part of my journey was really finally stopping and just saying, time out here. I'm exhausted running this futile race. And I really have never actually gone inward to explore who I am and what my needs are and what I'm actually feeling. So I think it's about taking the time and it takes a lot of courage to go inward and realize that when you discover yourself and heal yourself, you actually are healing the world. Because if you can be the light that you want others to see and show them an example of self-care, it's going to help them take better care of themselves and be better able to serve the world.
And you also see the energy that you put out into the world when you're having a bad day or a stressful day and you go out to a store or to work. People can feel that. And if you shine a little bit of light because you're taking care of yourself, whether with these products, with taking care of your mental health, you just become a different person and you changes your whole environment.
It's counterintuitive because we're never taught that you must first. I mean, we're taught it on an airplane, right? Put on your oxygen mask first. But we're not taught it in life. And I never believed I should serve myself. I thought it was selfish and indulgent. And that really continued until middle age, until I finally didn't understand why I was so bitter and resentful deep inside. I was keeping it down. But the truth was I felt like unseen and sort of unheard because I had never seen and heard myself. So yes, my own journey became really healing myself and accepting and allowing the full spectrum of who Melissa is before I could truly feel empathy and honor everyone else in their authenticity as well.
Such a wonderful message for so many people to take away this holiday season, and especially at their resolutions for the new year. Let people know where they can get the products.
Sure. So on lifelines.com, we have something really cool. It's a sensory immersion quiz where you can actually answer just a simple handful of questions and discover maybe what the most effective conduit to common joy are for you when it comes to smell. So you can go on there, take the quiz, and you can also learn about the science of sensory immersion as well. It's really amazing science.
Awesome. Melissa, thank you so much for your time today, and happy holidays to you.
Oh, thank you. This was an amazing interview. Thanks so much.